All right. So we are continuing our definition of rights and responsibilities. So we're going to take a look at what the Studies Weekly has. And first it says, as Americans, Americans believe that everyone has the right to be treated equally. We have the responsibility to treat others the way that we want to be treated. Americans have the right to worship in their own way. We have the responsibility to respect others' beliefs. Okay, so we may not we may not worship the same as somebody else, and that's okay. Respect means you treat people, places, or things with kindness. If you are responsible, you are kind to other people. You are kind to animals. You show respect to everyone. Being kind and respectful shows that you care about others. Respecting privacy. If someone asks you about something private, you can say, I can't tell you that. It's private. It's important to respect things that are private. Good citizens are respectful. An example of respect at school. In school, students must take care of school property like books and computers and Chromebooks, right, and laptops. Students must respect others and keep their hands and feet to themselves, right, and to use their words to explain or ask questions for help. Different opinions. An opinion is something you believe is true, even though others may not agree. Even if we don't agree with someone, it is important to treat them with kindness and respect. Okay. We all have a right to feel safe. People feel safe when they are respected. People have a right to feel safe. Good citizens have a responsibility to respect others and their right to feel safe. What are some ways you can show respect for others? So how do you ask if you're not feeling safe, right? And then how do you make sure that other people are feeling safe? Like, you don't want to disclude someone or tell them that, they can't sit by you because you don't like them. Those are just some little things that we can do. Okay, so we're going to stop there with that. Okay, so that takes us to some of the words from our Martin Luther King Jr. lesson, which is the word rights, R-I-G-H-T-S, freedom, F-R-E-E-D-O-M, citizenship, it's a big one, right? Prejudice, discriminate, or peace. So sometimes when people are not feeling safe, right, then it may be because we are not including them because of a prejudice. Okay, now if they're making it so we don't feel safe, then we need to go and get help, to have somebody help us work that out. And are they being discriminate? Are they discriminating? So we have to think about that word discriminate, and what that means. Now, one thing that Martin Luther King Jr. is known for is peaceful protesting. So the word peace, P-E-A-C-E, is that it includes us giving our opinion and asking questions, and maybe asking for some changes to reduce prejudice and reduce discriminating behaviors or things that are going against certain people's rights. Okay. So those things can change over time. So this is a picture of Dr. Martin Luther King almost 57 years ago in Washington, D.C., when he gave one of his famous speeches on the March of Washington on civil rights. And again, that's 57 years ago, this summer of 2021, so almost 57 years ago. This is a picture from some of the people with Dr. Martin Luther King that were marching, right? And there has been some marches on the news of people marching recently for some more change that is needed. And so this sign says, "We march for jobs for all now." So they're marching for jobs for all, okay? So at that time, 57 years ago, there were some people who were, because of prejudice and people were discriminating. There were some people not getting job opportunities, okay, because they were being judged by things that were not of their control. Okay, so for example, one of the famous quotes mentioned in the Time for Kids magazine was that Martin Luther King, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." Okay, so with that famous quote, when he is saying will not be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character, he is referring to prejudice, the word prejudice and discriminate. Okay, so there was a group, they were wanting to get that changed, that jobs and opportunities needed to be put in place for people regardless, and not being judged by the color of their skin. Some of his other quotes are, he who accepts evil without protesting against it really is cooperating with it. Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. So love falls under our word of peace, right? And our word of respect. So we may not understand or agree with one another, but we have to understand the laws. We have to understand our roles as a citizen. And we have to be willing to communicate, listen to one another, have respect, speak about the change that is needed, and be patient but persistent with the process, right? And one way is making a sign and protesting, and then trying to write to people that work in Washington, D.C., right? And people that we vote into office, to make sure that people are feeling safe, people are feeling that they have opportunity for jobs, and that they're not being judged, discriminated, right, from other people's prejudiced feelings. Okay, so one thing with Martin Luther King Jr. is, what is something you can do to be helpful for others this coming Monday, the middle of the month of January? How can you be positive and help others? Okay, and sometimes it's very hard to be positive, right? To always be a person of peace and love, because we're human beings and we get upset right? So sometimes we have to take a deep breath and we have to think about how can we explain ourselves in a way to get our point across where we're not causing harm, we're using our words, we're coming from a place of peace, right? Asking and questioning and asking what we would like to see. And we're being positive and we're trying to be helpful and work together. And it can be challenging because we need to respect each other, and then we need to make sure that it gets put to a vote. Because in a democracy, we vote on things. And that means sometimes it takes time for change, and sometimes we don't always get what we want. Okay, so I'm going to stop there with that discussion.